You
gotta stop talking right now. Stop.
I'm sorry.
Getting ready to start and...
I forgot you were doing that.
Well, I didn't quite start yet. When you hear me say, here's the speech, then you gotta shush.
Okay.
Today is 9/11/2009. And this is my speech for public speaking, introductions and conclusions outline on heckling and other ethical listening behaviors. My name is Jason Heflin, and it can be reasonably agreed, I guess, upon the greatest liberties that we have as Americans is the freedom of speech. Ideally, and for all intents and purposes, the United States of America, within you cannot be charged as a criminal for exercising your First Amendment rights. However, freedom for one person will almost always at some point guarantee irritation of another person at the same time. We've all heard that at one time or another that the truth hurts. And as many people out there are aware, there's always somebody who wants to put some kind of a gag order on another person or another group to stop them from saying things that another person doesn't want them to hear. The former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, said it best when he said that it isn't popular speech that needs to be protected. Popular speech doesn't need protection. It's unpopular speech that you need to protect. When Chris Hedges, a war correspondent and New York Times reporter, gave an anti-war theme commencement speech at a university not long ago, he wasn't possibly prepared for the ramifications or the consequences of his choice words. This was out of a story out of the public speaking book from Kaplan University, out of chapter 3. Perhaps he misunderstood or underestimated the allegiance and patriotism that was felt at that campus. Or maybe he had his own agenda and he simply didn't care what anybody else thought. He just wanted to exercise his own little piece of the freedom of speech that we all have. Mr. Hedges' anti-war rhetoric was disrespectful in reference to the U.S. military troops, and it clearly angered several of the attending students. He claimed that many troops were essentially unemployed little boys who couldn't find jobs elsewhere, and he even insinuated that the military was somehow a disparaging last resort instead of an honorable job. It is motivated possibly by the offensiveness of his claims. The number of people within the group were inclined to disrupt his speech. Some of them charged the stage and hollered at him. Some of them unplugged his microphone. A few left. Some of them just sat there and cried. When someone directly insults you or your family or your country, you have to choose whether such remarks warrant a retaliation or not. As depicted in the story, very many students took matters in their own hands. Physical reaction is seldom the answer. However, there is no rule that says that you have to sit and absorb verbal abuse from anybody. If spreading rumors is malicious and slanderous, then you have to assume that otherwise allowing someone to do so might also be wrong. The speaker was clearly out of line. A commencement speech is supposed to be inspiring for students that are graduating. It's not supposed to be a disrespectful free chance at a verbal sucker punch just to vent your own issues. And the heckling got out of hand, but so did the speaker. If he would have acknowledged that he created a foul mood, he should have done something to restore the peace. Finally, Mr. Hedges' microphone was unplugged the last time. The college president asked him to wrap up his speech and finished so they could restore and get everything calmed down. In either case, on either side of the issue, Mr. Hedges was deliberately antagonizing a noticeably irritated crowd. And if the people in the audience had been met with a different perspective, or maybe less degrading observation, maybe the disagreement would have been a lot less harsh and a lot more quiet. People have no reason in the United States of America to believe that they have to endure any verbal contempt, least of all from people that are hired or working for them. The wartime conflict was not in any way or any sort germane to the graduation time of these students. This is just Mr. Hedges looking for an opportunity to stir up some heat. Freedom of speech shall not be infringed upon. That is what we were told in the Constitution of the United States. However, many of those irate college students, similar to those irate college students, there are many people who want to put a gag order on people like Mr. Hedges. And even though we don't agree with him, he does have the right to exercise those words. In this great country, we do have the right and the duty to freely express ourselves. However, as decent human beings, we must do so in a sensible context or sensible setting. Thank you.